Have you ever found yourself getting annoyed and frustrated with someone else when they do something you don't particularly like? What about when they don't do something they said they were going to do? Think about that for a second. Their behavior or lack thereof just irritates the hell out of you. It's frustrating, right? What if you had a tool to leverage the next time you catch yourself getting annoyed and frustrated with someone because of something they did or something they didn't do? I want to share with you a tool that I use and a tool that I share with those I work with. But before I do that, I want to invite you, if you haven't already, right? I encourage you to sign up for my Self 2.0 Leadership Development Program. This is a 90-day accelerated training program that will help you gain the confidence and courage, right, to lead others and communicate effectively and influence others and coach your team so they perform at their best. Enrollment is about to close and I don't want you to miss the opportunity. If you're interested in learning more about this program, follow the link in the description below. But right now, okay, today, I want you to just consider for a second how many times you have let the dynamics of a particular situation make you angry, right? Times when you just wish someone or something was different. As leaders, we have to catch ourselves becoming hooked by these crazy situations and circumstances we sometimes find ourselves entangled in. There's always going to be, this is just a truth bomb, there's always going to be days and situations that frustrate the hell out of you. That's just a fact of life. But having the ability to unhook from all this crazy stuff, right, is a necessary leadership skill. I call this leadership practice catch and release. I want to teach you how to do this. First, I want to remind you that you're human. We all have moments that trigger our frustrations. Why? Because we're human. Recently, I had one of those human moments. I let someone said bother me, really bother me. Keep in mind that I've been working on this skill for years. In fact, when I was younger, right, I was easily triggered by something someone would say or do or even fail to do, right? That was like a quick trigger for me. I made a ton of progress on this and I'm really proud of the progress I made. I've worked hard at raising my awareness to those things that trigger a reaction out of me. This awareness has allowed me to become more Teflon over the years. And honestly, I really believe if you ask my family, they would agree that I've drastically improved over the years on this skill, right? Recently though, I was reminded that I too was human. I had a momentary lapse, a minor setback. I had what I refer to as I wasn't a good student moment. Regardless of how much I worked on not being hooked by others, I found myself taking the bait. Did that ever happen to you? Right? I have to imagine we've both been in similar situations. Here's the deal. We're all human, right? We're all working on something. Sometimes, regardless of how proud you've become of your progress, God has a way of reminding us that we're all human. Our inner critic, right, loves it when this happens, right? Loves when we have one of those human moments. I don't know about you, but my inner critic just loves to repeat the same story over and over and over again when I'm having a human moment, right? He loves to torment me by painting the worst case scenario that in reality hasn't happened. He simply tries to trick me into believing that they will. And if I let his voice run wild in my head, guess what's going to happen? He destroys my confidence, he clouds my logic, and he hijacks the inner peace I've worked so hard to create. Does your inner critic sabotage you? Can you relate to some of the things I just said? Maybe you've become frustrated with someone for what they did or didn't do. Worse yet, consider how many times you let those thoughts eat away at you all day long. We've all been there. The situation hooks us. And the next thing we know, the situation is all we can think about. And when this happens, we begin to imagine all these crazy stories that haven't happened. That's what I mean when I say we become hooked. I trust that you know this dynamic all too well, right? You know what it's like to feel exhausted by the circumstances that just drain your energy. So the question is this: what do you do when these situations occur, right? Situations when, despite your greatest intention, you have one of those human moments and you let others hijack your energy. Notice what I just said there. You let others hijack your energy. See, others don't steal your energy. We allow them to. So how do we get ourselves out of this energy leak? And how do we avoid getting hooked in the first place? Both are very good questions. Let me offer you some advice. Let's start with the avoidance of an energy leak. The first question you have to ask yourself is this: what causes you to leak energy? I mean, think about this. This is good, right? Consider the events or situations that trigger your anxiety, that trigger your frustration, your fears, your anger. To help you with this, I suggest you get out a piece of paper and you draw a line right down the middle, right? And on one side you write business triggers, and on the other side you put personal triggers, and the one side with business you list all your business triggers like maybe fear of losing a client, fear of screwing up a project, fear of losing your job, whatever it is. Other business triggers could be like people insinuating you did something wrong, or feeling interrogated by others, or being judged, right? Being told what to do, for your job, right? There's a whole list of things. One of the things that trigger me business-wise, personally, is when people delay decisions or keep pushing trouble out. That's a trigger for me. Other ones that get me big time are when I see someone manipulating others, or coworkers not doing their job or taking advantage of a situation. That's a trigger for me, right? So I want you to, on the left-hand side, make a list of all those things that trigger you to lose energy. On the right-hand side, write personal triggers on the top and do the same thing from a personal perspective. Maybe it's the fear of disappointing someone you love. Maybe it's a certain change or self-doubt. Maybe you get triggered when you see a loved one struggling and they reject your help. Maybe you get personally triggered when your loved one rejects your advances, right? I don't know, right? For me, I know I get triggered personally when my self-care is down, when I'm tired, when I have a lot on my plate, or I'm running late, or I'm stuck in traffic is a great example. I've been working on that one for years, right? Well, why am I asking you to do this? Because everything starts with awareness. If you want to avoid an energy leak, you have to become aware of what causes them. Common sense, right? Guess what? Common sense is not always common practice. Just the practice of making a list of triggers begins to raise your awareness to them, which allows you to be more in more control mentally when they occur. For example, if I find myself getting triggered by being stuck in traffic, I now, because I'm aware of that, when that happens, I turn up the radio and I start singing. And trust me, I can't sing, right? But I know I have a tendency to get all bent out of shape. So I have to reframe the conversation in my head so I avoid leaking energy. So I want you to do this. Go ahead and make your list of triggers. Be honest with yourself. This exercise is extremely valuable. I do this in my workshops, right? No one is looking at this but you. You don't have to share it. Making a list of those things that trigger me from both a business and personal perspective has in fact been a simple tool to help me avoid them. See, this is about retraining our mind, having a discipline to recognize the crazy stories we convince ourselves are true, and then reframe them into something more helpful. All right, we just talked about the triggers that cause an energy leak. Now I want to address the second part, right, that I promised earlier, which is how do you get yourself back on track when you in fact have one of those human moments? That's what I was talking about earlier, right? See, my favorite tool for that is what I call catch and release. The reality is this: shit happens, typically when we least expect it. We never feel prepared for it, and this is when we need to become more Teflon. You get hooked when you believe that you are the only person in the world that is dealing with a frustrating situation. That's a fact. Or that you believe that you are the only person who can fix a situation. And the more you focus on and remain hooked by someone else's behavior, the more limited the possibilities to change the situation become. Having the fortitude to overcome adversity is a necessary leadership skill. Here's how catch and release works. Catch yourself becoming hooked by the emotional drama of a disheartening situation. The first step to disentangling yourself from negative emotions is to admit that you have them in the first place. That's the purpose of the trigger exercise I just mentioned, right? When you catch yourself getting angry, irritated, outraged, you learn what triggers that reaction, which helps you prevent it, right? Prevent you from being the leader you aspire to be. The second part of this, right, is to release it. The moment you witness your behavior, you begin to create this distance between the behavior you exhibit, right? And I say that because most of the drama takes place in our own head. And it's usually because we're too deeply immersed in the situation to recognize it's not as dire as it seems. See, once we step above the noise and the details, we can focus on those things that we can control. And when you choose to let go of what doesn't serve you anymore, you can become more Teflon and able to concentrate in the present moment. You and only you alone can shift your thinking, right? This may sound like a huge task, but it really isn't. The truth is this: you are going to have human moments that you're not proud of. The key is, what do you do when they occur? Are you going to stay hooked by the situation that drains your energy? Or are you going to become more Teflon? Remember, you're not responsible for the actions of others. You're only responsible for you. Whatever people do, feel, think, or say, don't take it personally. When others say something that you don't like, our human reaction is to defend ourselves, right? To correct others, to prove them wrong and us right. That just causes an enormous energy leak. Conversely, an enormous amount of freedom develops when you become immune to negative energy. You can't control what others do, or you can't control what they fail to do, right? The only action you as a leader controls in any circumstance is if you choose to react or respond to the situation at hand. Your choice affects the outcome, one way or the other. It's that simple. But don't believe me, right? I want you to experience this for yourself, okay? I want you to catch yourself becoming hooked by taking something someone said or did personally, and I want you to practice releasing it. I want you to work on developing the skill to rise above the details, to retrain your mind to focus on those things that you can control. Because when you choose to let go of what doesn't serve you anymore, you become more Teflon, right? I said this earlier, right? And you're able to concentrate. Like a fisherman, you can practice catch and release. Here's the deal. As your leadership grows, you're going to encounter more and more complex and challenging situations. It comes with the territory. Leading yourself and managing your own energy is like the foundation of any leadership position. However, it doesn't stop there. You as a leader must have the ability to communicate, to influence, to coach everyone you interact with. And I want to teach you how to do that, and I also want to teach you how to effectively delegate to others and confidently trust that they'll do what you expect them to do, so you can in fact stop leaking energy on what you think they're not going to do. If these skills will help you free up time and energy, then I encourage you to sign up for my Self 2.0 Leadership Development Program. This is an accelerated 90-day training program that will help you build the confidence and courage to lead others and accelerate results. Enrollment for our next session is going to close shortly. We're limiting the size of this group. So if you're interested, I encourage you, right? Get your application in soon before it fills up. All the details are below in the description. Okay, if you liked what I shared today, give it a thumbs up, right? Comment below, and of course subscribe, because each week I'm trying to give you content to help you embrace change, focus your efforts, and accelerate results. We'll talk to you soon.